Welcome to Dad's workshop. Boobity boobity beep beep. Welcome to Dad's workshop, where it is so freaking cold. It's all right though. I can handle the cold better than the heat. Got lots of cold endurance. As long as my hands stay feeling like I have the feeling in my hands. Good to go. Mike is making stuff. First dude in the session. Shout out, Mike is making stuff. Put my phone down for a second. I brought all the stuff that I was talking about to you earlier out to Scott and Shoop. Welcome, Shoop's Woodshop. Thank you so much for being here. Boobity boop and beebity beep. And we're going to cut this tail because here, and not trying to gross anybody out, viewer discretion always advised. I cut a little further than the anus. You can see the anus right here. The tail still has the bone in it. The problem is this is in a pickling brine. So what I got to do is remove this bone, which I don't think is going to be too nasty. I'm going to slice straight up through the, not to be gross again, through the anus area and get a stick dowel or something and put it in there and push up through the tail, get as far into the tail as I can, and then remove the bone from in there. Pull it, just like I did with the raccoon. Mainly off grid. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Wow, the picture looks really good. I can tell you that. I got two different Christmas songs running through my head right now. Maybe start right here. Probably better to. Let me put gloves on too. Not because I'm grossed out by this, but keep my hands a little warmer actually. It's freezing. Y'all can't see my space heater I got right in front of this space right here too. Like right in front of where y'all got the camera. It's a little bitty space heater. Oh, I'm glad a notification came through. Random builds and rebuilds, welcome. Oh, my hand's too clammy. Gotta let them dry. I can get these gloves on. I also have a cedar, part of a cedar tree I cut down over there that would make a really good fleshing beam. I just need to kind of soften up the corners on it. It's like a quarter of the log and the rounded side. That's generally what's used kind of in the woods. If you're trying to come up with a fleshing beam, that's part of the log you can use. The rounded off end section, that's not that good for building. Every time they update it, you have to redo the bell. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that support. That's what Random Builds and Rebuilds said. They said every time they update, whatever. I guess the app, you have to redo all of your notifications. That's kind of insane. Do make sure that you tap that like button though. That will get you back to the feed. They're more worried about what you watch, right? Now Mike is in here all the time, so they should be showing him like my stream on his feed because he obviously is in here. But subscriptions don't necessarily do that. Yeah, it's not a good thing. Mike says, which is trash. I agree. I don't know why they do that. All right. I haven't done this late stage yet, but this needs to be. And the hide has thickened some here because it's been in a pickling brine, so that kind of opens up the grain and makes it thicker, feel thicker at least. Yeah, I'm getting there. It's like a neck bone too. I mean, obviously the same bone structure, just in the lower section. So I do have to slice here. But what I did with the raccoon the other day was I pushed and I used a stick to loosen it away from the tissue. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get me a bamboo skewer. Trying my hardest not to. These are kind of square ones. These ones are actually almost like dowels right here. So I don't want to waste because I like dowels a lot. But I'm going to, here's some woodwork. Tying it in to the lesson plan. What am I doing right now? I'm trying to soften these ends off so that I don't rip through the tissue when I put this through. I'm going to try to kind of force this through the tissue between the end of the spine, which is in the tail, and the tissue on the tail, so that I can get a blade on there. Hopefully y'all can see what I'm doing. This right here is a deer hide, white-tailed buck. Actually a fairly large one. All right, so here we have the stick, and this is what I did last time. It's worked with, yep, it worked. I'm trying to preserve this tail here. I have to split it. That's the only way to preserve the tail, is to split it. That may be as far as I can go. Like practically. I know that the taxidermists will go all the way to the end. They just find a way to flesh it to the end. Dun, dun. Wow, cold. Dun, dun, dun. Mike said, I get it. I have to see a doctor because I went Chevrolet to talk to him about it. And after an aspirin, few sessions, we figured it out. I'm terrible with humor when I'm like hyper focused on something, which is what's happening right now. Hey, do tap that like button. It's warming up in here. It looks like the stream population is warming up a little bit too. All right, now I'm going to take my X-Acto knife. Whoops, I broke that. So forget using that dowel again after this. That was really chintzy, but that's all right. It did what I needed it to do. I got to sing different Christmas songs today. I'm gonna sing like some old timey stuff. I'm just not. I'm gonna get people with the. Oh, what is that you're singing, Calvin? What are you singing? Some old timey stuff. I tried to curl my beard a little bit at the mustache to make myself look a little old timier. Carrie, is Carrie in the house? Welcome, Carrie. Friend of the program. Also, Mike, friend of the program. Shoot. Appreciate y'all. Come on now, I got to keep a straight line here. I think I did a better job with the raccoon, but I haven't finished yet. I'll give myself a chance. Won't beat myself up here. I want to tear as little as possible. Y'all can see the spine there is kind of exposed. Like I was saying the other day, like a mammal like this deer has the same number of vertebrae as us, but it's just they're longer or whatever, so they have a tail. I think at some point, I don't know. I won't get into evolutionary theory on here. I don't think I know enough about it anyway. Oh, there we go. That's what I need. All right, so you always lose the end of the tail. I'm sorry to tell you all that, but as I've been doing this, I have lost the end on almost every animal's tail. I'm sure there's probably a way I could cut through here, right, and preserve it, but yeah, almost every animal, the end of the tail's gone away. Gone away. I got tails. They're in here. All right, so unfortunately that area has not been salted, and I've got this pocket here between the body of the pelt and the anus. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to cut this tissue here, this little band of connective tissue if I can. This X-Acto knife is getting a little dull, I think. All right, so I cut that. And then what I want to do is just cut through this area. I think it'll be easier to process like that, like in tan, through the tanning process here. Right now it's in the vinegar, what I say, vinegar stage. It's in the pickling stage. So I took it out of the pickling to scud it today, and I realized part of the spine was still in there. I felt it. I couldn't feel that when the deer was dried, when the hide was dry. I wish y'all had a close-up on that, but what I did was just cut through so I can meet the anal opening, the tail section with the body. I need that all kind of flat as possible, so I can continue to work it. Looks like it did get some vinegarish solution in it, but we're gonna scut this. Whoa, Carrie with the gift. Oh, Carrie gave us a gift. I gotta sing some like Christmas songs and stuff like that today to earn my Christmas gifts. I don't know if my cannon bones will make much of a roll. I kind of broke them down to small. Hit them with the drum roll. I gotta do a drum roll. Gotta go get my drum. Carrie, thank you so much for the gift. I think I found my second dowel. These are kind of tough to roll with, but I'm gonna go get one. Learning stuff every day here, Carrie. Learning stuff. This is I like to think of myself as a lifetime learner. All right, here we go with the drum roll for the Carrie's $50 super chat. Here we go. Carrie, thank you so much. Keep the channel going, Carrie. We love you. We appreciate you. And thank you so much for the gift to keep the channel going, keep us moving. Thank you so much. All right. Now this might be sacrificed as well. You see this little bit right here? I don't know if it's worth keeping that. I'm thinking it should come off, and for pragmatic reasons of pragmatism. This is a big hide. It was very heavy, even off the deer. I felt like it weighed like 50 pounds off the deer. And then I'm trying to see what that area looks like down there. Kind of far away from me now. That's fine. We'll leave it the way it is. Right? We'll leave it the way it is. I try to take this one off in as much possible completion as possible. And I think it probably should be dried right now while I do this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over and scud it. And so we are very appreciative. Yes. Thank you so much for the gift, Carrie. Couldn't come at a better time here. It's like momentum has, you know how it is with YouTube. Momentum slows, momentum speeds up. All right, so now that these cells are like swollen, this scudding really worked. I used citric acid also. I had some citric acid I poured into the acid bath, which is not a strong acid bath. So it's not what the Joker fell into, okay? It's more like a light acid, like what you would find in pickles. And I need my little scudding. So this is my scraping tool that I made from a bone, and it really works well. It's just the right. I know that a fleshing knife is kind of like a draw knife. None of my tools here work real well for that. I'm trying to remember which side. I had a specific edge that I used for this too. Some of this subdermal tissue on here might be a little difficult for me today. I don't know. I'll keep working it though. This right here has got to come off. So whatever has to be done for that. Scraping or what? But I was scraping and it was working. This hide's being a little more difficult, I think. But this is actually tissue that's got to go. Yeah, got to go. We'll keep scraping at it. Very cold out here too. My gosh. Makes your fingers kind of some bubbles there. I don't like to see that either. Yeah, this got to go. Kind of get my fingers under it down here, but this is not going to scrape away. It's going to have to be peeled away. I want to say thank you again to Carrie. I'm wondering if this got to go back in that bath. It's being resistant to my scraping, and I've got to figure out a way to get this tissue off here. That's why that guy was criticizing my fleshing, because I missed the whole spot. Yeah, there's a lot of this that needed to come off. I think it was just because I went high up on the neck too. This is like near the neck. So I'll just, for some reason, now I don't want to, I get a little bit hesitant to pull real hard on when I'm seeing things like that. I don't want to compromise the flesh side of the hide. I am seeing bubbling though, which is weird. I hope it's not coming from the heat. Let me turn this heater down. That bubbling is not a good sign. Yeah, this has got all of this tissue I probably would have pulled off when it dried. I don't know why I missed that. Let's try again. See if I can scrape some of that up here. We're off. This has been working to scrape recently. Oh, it's coming off, but just real slowly like that. What I'll probably do with this is do a scrape over it, like a light scrape. And then I'm going to cut my I've got some other pelts in here that are partially tan. Like this whole piece has to come off here for sure. It's going to spoil badly. Let's see that X-Acto knife. What did I do with my X-Acto knife? Here we go. You guys can't see that on that side, but all I'm doing is kind of peeling behind it, trying to figure out where this membrane is trying to take me here. This would normally have come up when I was skinning the animal. Kind of disappointed that I missed it until right now. There we go. Now you can get your fingers. So you got to get your fingers up under there. Not trying to gross folks out. This is kind of part of the process. Hopefully this isn't your lunch break, you know. I know I disclaim that every day, but then somebody hit me with I got hit with like basically a non-monetization strike the other day. This is educational content. You know, if you're not into this thing, you can definitely flip past. Yeah, so I got some of it up right there, but it's going to take following it with the X-Acto knife. Yeah, I didn't do a good job scraping here originally. Like I didn't peel this off properly. I've been erring on the side of there we go. I'm keeping the fat mic too, just because of what you said on Discord. Real outdoor living. Working on a little rabbit hide. Yeah, the rabbit hides too. Similar also to, I believe they're fattier hide, right? No, they're lean. Trying to remember. There's a way to like take a rabbit hide and like I was telling Heather about this. Make a couple cuts on it and then slap it against your knee, and it will actually skin the rabbit. Pretty cool. Seen somebody do that. I seen it done. So this has been in a citric acid and vinegar and salt bath for a few days, and now I'm seeing where it needs to be. Like it's kind of showing me where it needs to be pulled up. But what I want to do is like what you saw a minute ago. Oh, I got to warm my fingers up again. Get numb fingers. Very lean and thin, yeah. So if you bark tan that guy, that should add some mass to the hide. If you kind of what you call it, if you brain tan it, It'll probably stay pretty thin, but it'll be supple. Rabbit hides are actually my mom's family. They sold rabbits for meat and fur for her whole childhood. Interesting. This is a buck, but I found I didn't really know that the bucks had nipples like that. I guess the males and male humans do too. Yeah, it's just I don't know what you were planning on doing with it. Let's see, but you guys got lots of stuff up there in the Northeast. You could use hemlock or some other. There's trees and plants everywhere that have the tannins you need to tan that thing. You just boil them down. I've got a couple videos. Wow, look at that hole. Oh, that was already in there. That was a hole that this thing took when it fought other bucks. I think, man, that wasn't even a hole from the accident. So I think it took some of the bigger bucks take some battle get some battle wounds on them. And this was definitely a big one. And that's starting to let me pull now. Yeah, if you've got, I think this is a skill that I wish I would have learned a lot of this earlier. Some of it I was taught when I was younger, and some of it was not, was just something I had to learn myself. There, that's what we really need to do. That all has to come off. And like I was saying the other day, you kind of want to, like a piece of tape, you want to follow it around until you get it off before you start pulling so that you can get as much up as possible. This is not going to scrape right now. So if somebody comes on here and says, "Why aren't you scraping that? Do you know how to flush a hive?" Because that's what they did the other day with this hive. This one, man, it's got to be pulled. It's not coming off any other way. That's going to make me add a little ease to my life once I get this piece off here. I was a little worried about that. Y'all see how much that's what we want to see there. And this is neck, so it is difficult to get this to pull away. I'm going to keep working it away because it let me. Awesome. It's coming off. Lions, welcome. Welcome. It's already tan. I'm stretching it a little bit to get it to ready to glue it down to something. Well, glue it down. What you gonna glue it on? I got to go out today and find some more stuff, man. I need a few more buckskins, and it was cold. It was freezing last night. It snowed, so we have some snow. That's like the right time to go gather roadkill, because it's going to be not nasty. It's going to be nice and frozen, and you kind of make a better decision as to, first of all, it gives you a little more time to dress it and get the stuff you don't want out of it. I know it seems crazy, guys, but it's not. There's a method to everything I do. A coat rack has some antlers, a gift for somebody. Yeah. If someone purchases off it, does it come off the list? Who's Did Heather check the list? Yeah. Let me see. Let me have Heather check that for you because, of course, we always welcome any kind of wish list gifts. Those are great for our channel and things like a. We need to add something like a rainwater barrel or like a 55-gallon drum. That's another thing they have on there that would be useful. Wow, it's really coming off nicely. Definitely stretches across the whole hide though, so there's like a lot more of this. I mean, you guys are gonna be watching me. If you're sticking around, you're gonna see me do this for a while. I knew that membrane was like going. Oh, it was over something, and you can see the color difference, right? This is a reddish, and that's white. Like it's pretty white. And so I was like, well, I'm probably gonna have to do some fleshing later. And generally, like in this situation, let me turn it around, see if I can get my fist up under there. Kind of cold, so I'm like hesitant to stick my whole arm up in there and get wet, right? Because it's been soaked in vinegar and salt and stuff. There's no smell at all to this, guys. So it's not like I'm working something rotten or it smells bad. It doesn't at all. Let me see if I can get my. Nah, it's not going to allow me to do that. Again, like tape, you want to keep it all together here so that it doesn't, one part doesn't rip away. I might be able to get all the way down the hide like that. So like if this was on the animal still, you'd want your arm up under this, right? To get your fist in there. But this didn't loosen. When I dressed this animal, and it was a huge animal, over 250 pounds, I can tell you. When I dressed it, it wasn't letting me. So I had to cut away there and leave that for later. Also, I think I told you all there was a whatever, some kind of a beast growling at me in the woods, you know, and I didn't care for that too much either. I had to yell at something in the woods. Yeah, I only actually harvested one of these animals myself. That was the first doe that I have. All these other ones are roadkill. I'm gonna have to cut it away here. So at the edge, it's not letting me pull, right? Well, maybe it will a little bit. I was talking to Heather the other day about how doing things on a live stream makes you accountable to a certain extent. Sometimes it doesn't, but some people it helps their accountability. So like you're doing something, it's going to keep you. It's going to keep more integrity. What's another word for it? Fidelity to the job. You're not going to cut as many corners and try to get around things, right? So when I was doing the 2 bunk beds I did, I think without doing those, and I don't want to sell myself short, but I think if I did not have a live stream, that I would not have achieved those 2 tasks of building 2 bunk beds with no metal hardware. That was something I think I needed the collective conscience. I needed the collective group pushing me to finish, basically, not telling me to, but being there while I did it, right? For moral support. And then I was able to do the proper things and take the proper steps because I knew I was accountable. I knew I was being watched and I didn't want to do it wrong. And somebody to think that that was the wrong way to do it is the right way. So all of that. Chase, welcome. New Beginnings Woodworks. Welcome. Yeah, that's Chase. Yeah, that's Chase. That's correct. It's kind of like more slimy or greasy here, not to gross you out, but like there's parts of this tissue that's more like a membranous. I don't know what the word would be. It's not acting, behaving exactly the same way, right? And I know I can kind of see what it was like on the animal because I remember that tissue's there when you're dressing the animal. That tissue is there. You feel it. So like a paper thin substance, and you can just kind of feel it pull away. And if you salted a hide, also about a day later, it's a little easier to pull that membrane away if you didn't get it all. But this one stayed a while, so this one was tougher. Like I said, a large buck, 4 or 5 years old. Here's a theory I got, and it does relate to hunting. If you're hunting and a deer has an incredible olfactory sense, which it does, a deer has incredible sense of smell. If you look at the inside of a deer nose, you can see how much complexity they have to that sense of theirs. If a deer is based on the nose and you're wearing camouflage, the camouflage doesn't do that much with a deer because a deer can't see that well. They're not animals that go around by sight. They're animals that operate by smell and hearing. So if you're wearing, like, say, a deer hide tanned with trees from there, right? That's going to fit into that deer's sense of smell, right? So I have a theory that using buckskin to hunt in, using natural materials that the deer would be familiar with, are going to give you at least a slight advantage when you go out in the woods, if you so choose to go out in the woods and hunt, which I've said before I'm not against. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm against hunting. There's just some parts of the culture in some places I don't care for. But going out with a buckskin that's bark tanned or veg tanned with local materials, I would imagine that's going to give you a slight advantage. Just the thought I had, rather than wearing some camouflage that you bought from what you call it, Bass Pro Shops. It smells like humans and chemicals and stuff. Lions Fiction Shop says, I'm waiting on getting paid to get some pen blanks. Think they'll be fun. Yeah, man, I love pens. And I think, is it New Beginnings that does pens? I think New Beginnings does pens. I think by baiting you mean trapping. Yeah, Heather doesn't care for the trappers too either. I don't think I have an opinion about it, as long as they're not trapping. You know, I don't know. I mean, I've never really done that. I'm all about take what's available. You know, got this huge animal that has all these resources on it right in front of you. That's all I'm saying. And if it's legal in your area, if it's not legal in your area, don't do it. You know, I'm not telling you to do something illegal. You don't hear that stuff on Dad's Workshop. You may hear it off of Dad's Workshop. Psych. Don't do anything illegal. I'm starting to make progress on this. I didn't think I was going to get that off today, actually. I was going to leave it alone. Maybe a little grease burning right here. Yeah, that may be it. I'm gonna cut this away so I can kind of put this aside here. This tissue that I'm holding, like I said, no smell to it. I know it may look gross, but it has zero smell to it. It's been sitting in a vinegar bath for like a couple of days. Vinegar, citric acid, and salt. My beam's moving a little. Making some headway on that. It's a huge hide though, man. It's a lot of pulling away. I think just I got a respect for the tremendous amount of work that this always was traditionally now. Just, it is a lot of work. Sorry. Spread out over this large area here. Seems like this tissue over here needs to come off too. But you see where it's red, that's the most important part. There's an old expression, and it is good leather is made on the beam, right? So if I don't pull this off and get rid of this funky stuff, then it's not going to end up good leather. It's going to be weird. I'll have to scrape away at tissue that shouldn't have been on there in the first place. I do have a theory though that you can tan anything, any tissue, stomach, meat, whatever it is, it can be tanned. But you don't want to do that. You want like a uniform thickness to what you're doing. I mean, putting bait out to an, oh yeah, no, you shouldn't have to do that. No, no. And they do some down here, they do that too. I think in a lot of states that's illegal. Um, there's a guy right around the corner who sells deer corn, like to bring the deer in. My dad always said that in Minnesota, I mean, you didn't need to bait any deer there. The deer were, the cornfields were everywhere, and they were real fat. All the deer were real healthy. Some of the best corn in the country, some of the best farmland in the world there in Minnesota, southern Minnesota. So the deer were very well fed. He always thought the deer down south, that's where we are in the southern part of the United States, lines for reference. My dad always thought the deer down here looked anorexic. Yeah, no, it's not. No, you shouldn't have to do that, dude. I don't think you should have to run dogs either, to be honest. Like you should be able, you should sit in the woods, watch. You should go. You got to go scout. Go look at where the deer was. Look for sign, antlers, paw, hoof prints, sign that there's bedding, deer's bedding there. And then set up a blind near there and wait. Wait. I agree, man. There's plenty of people out here to hunt deer and plenty of people that want them. We don't need any easy way to get them, like running dogs in the woods and baiting them with stuff. No, you're right. People like, all right, here's a good reference point. So it's different. I was telling you, it's different in the northern United States than the southern. Usually the laws are also stricter up there. But like my uncle Steve and my dad, even now, my dad encourages the deer to come to his property with salt licks. None of them would dare shoot a deer. on their own property coming to lick its salt. They're there to observe the deer, right? So my dad, Uncle Steve, who is a hunter, you know, he would never shoot the deer on his property. They are there to, he's there to put the salt lick out to enjoy watching them. So that's the difference between like an ethical hunter and someone who's just chomping at the bit all the time to kill animals and harvest them. And, you know, for the most part, these are guys that just want a trophy hunt. They want to kill a big buck so they can put the buck's rack up on their wall. That's what it's all about. It's not so much about meat, even though they'll say it is sometimes. Maybe grease burning, or this may be the injury that I'm getting past here. Could have been secondary injury. This deer I was sure was killed by head trauma because the antler was dislodged from the bud and actually the skull was fractured there. But it could have been another injury that was fatal. Not a veterinarian. Just seeing greasy right there. Yeah, like grease burns. I've heard about this but never seen it. There we go. There we go. Getting through down there. So you want to go all the way to the edge with this. Oh, there we go. Awesome. So I'm going to remove this whole piece of subdermal tissue here. Pretty much I should be able to get it all off at the same time. So sodium is hydroscopic. That was the word I was looking for the other day. That means it draws water molecules away from things. So when you salt an animal, it's drawing salt away from the animal, but also from the air. So you end up with almost a condensation effect, where it can be a little bit hard for some people to stomach because you have a. Oh yeah, that's some funky stuff right there. Well, this is the real process, guys. You know, it's not super glamorous and clean. That's for sure. We got that. It's quite a bit of tissue there. I might have been adding some weight. And then we have more, but I think that's more scrapable, man. That was like that was a lot of stuff there. And you can see how much cleaner that looks. We got that. Some of this tissue against the spine, it's just going to be stubborn. Right here, this got to come off, but yeah, that's got to come off. Yeah, if I can find the edge on there. That might be for tomorrow type thing for this. Not that I'm leaving. I got other chores to do with this stuff, though. Now, this hole was an injury from a buck, I believe. When I found him, he had that, and it looked healed. So he had been injured, I believe, by an antler from buck, and it pierced his tissue completely. I believe it may be healed, but he was like, maybe he was still injured from it. And that was partly why he didn't make the right decision, going out on the road in the wrong time. But yeah, so that's a big buck. That was like a 200-pound buck. And we just cleaned a whole bunch off. Thanks for hanging out with me while I cleaned a whole bunch of that subdermal tissue off, because now he's going to be much happier in that vinegar solution. And we'll figure out what to do with this like grease burn side here. You know, I'm not going to rule out that he was shot, dude. Look at that hole. It's right where you would shoot the deer. Maybe somebody shot him and left him out there, dude, or didn't find him. Sad. These guys give up pretty quickly, though. If you're out of shape, you're not going to go chase it down, you know. What your job is to do is to exhaust all resources to try to find that animal, you know. As a hunter, you don't leave a wounded animal out there. That's just not something you should do. But I'll tell you, that hole right there does look like burned through. And I'm going to have to deal with that somehow because that's not a good spot. Like I said, not squeaky clean this process. But I think that may be ready to go back into a vinegar bath, and I have a temporary one out here. I brought it out in a bag. It's in a big trash can where it went and where it's going to go back to. Heavy thing this is. So, all right, put that in that vinegar just to get it back in to the house till I get back in there. Woohoo! Done with that. Yeah, that's exactly. She explained it correctly. That's exactly how they do it. Not every hunter does it down here. There are still traditional and what do you call it? Um, like there are guys that stick to the old ways of hunting, just sitting in stands and sitting in blinds, and then there are guys that they just run dogs in the woods and they're okay with it. They don't see anything wrong with it, but traditionally hunting big game with dogs is considered not fair and unethical, but that's the way they do it down here, you know. Definitely in the Midwest, that's not allowed. Not allowed, not allowed. Not criticizing anybody, though. Thanks for being here. Yeah, definitely that's kind of where it came from, Lions. The thing from England, like I refer to it as the old country. The old country where birds were done like that. Also, hounds were used to chase fox out of the woods, right? And I was explaining this yesterday. The fox were it wasn't done for fun to kill the foxes, though it became kind of that way. It was done to control the fox population because they were eating the rabbits or the small game. So the rich people would go out and have these hunting parties where they bring the basset of hounds out. Now that's how it started, and now it's done like that as a tradition, but kind of brutal because what happens to the fox is the fox just gets mauled, mauled to death. Hey man, appreciate you giving Wes some love. Friend of the program, Wes does it. I think he's I didn't know he was on live, but shout out to Wes. This is the hide that this bone came from actually. So this is the animal and it's starting to get a really decent look to it. Really happy with how it's shaping up. Getting smooth. The grain here on the flesh side is getting down to a suede-like consistency. I'm gonna tell y'all my one things I want hats, but I want to have some moccasins. Like I love the feeling of moccasins. Like maybe my favorite kind of shoes. So Mike sent me some like what do you call it forms for moccasins. So that'll probably be one of the first things since I'll wear those year round if they're nice and usually they breathe really well. So you can wear them kind of any time of the year. Easy to get on and off. If that works, man, we'd be open to doing stuff like that. I need, more. We got to see how it works. Everything sometimes has pluses and minuses or whatever, positive and negative. Oh, sweet, Carrie. Yeah, if we can If we can get it set up, then yeah, we'll definitely do stuff like that. It would be like it would have to be custom made, so it would have to be like a situation where we got the like you traced your foot basically. That situation. It's not, you don't want to do them like shoe size because those can vary. I need to learn how to sew too, so I can't put it all on Heather. I'd like to learn to sew by hand, then use the machine. I will freely tell you, I do not know how to sew. People have tried to teach me, and I can't. Well, not can't. I just have not learned. My disability kicks in, you know. My disability kicks in, and I stop being able to pay attention. No, I'm gonna get it though, because I'm determined. This leather right here, I'm seriously considering starting to dry this today. I think it's tanned all the way through, and if it's not, um, I'll put it back. You can always start it over again. But I think this piece of leather is tanned all the way. I would like to probably smoke it too. I want to do that. I feel like that would also give it a good, pleasant smell. Add a component to it of preservation. Maybe a combo of smoking and tanning is the way to do things. I always hear about these furs being smoked to preserve them. You know. So the end of it is more of an abrasive piece. I filed it down when we were on when I was on Mike's live stream the other day. That was how I was tinkering while everybody was talking. And the tip works if you got something like strong like that. So there's places where Heather and I hit the flesh with the knife. You can kind of see them right there. And so the only way I can deal with those and level those out is with the end of this bone. And this bone works better than any of the knives I got to do this. So it's almost like that's what it was designed for. Carrie says she's got to roll, but she will see all of us beautiful souls around later today. I have to go though. Much love back to you, Carrie. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for the gift. Shout out, Carrie. Make sure you do double tap that screen. We love Carrie. We appreciate Carrie. Thank you so much. We'll try to pop through some other folks and see if we see you later too, if you can make it through. Thanks for being here. Kind of what I've noticed is it pushes to the edge, and somebody who's done this is going to be like, duh. But you push this schmutz to the edge, right? But you got to make sure you peel it off the edge because it'll stick to it. Then you put it back in the tannin solution, and these little schmutz ends will be in your tannins like this, will be inside of there. So you want to get rid of that schmutz. Make sure you're scraping all the way to the end, pushing out the seam like as if you're ironing a shirt, right? And I assume all of you cool people know how to iron a shirt where you always iron the seams all the way out. It's just like that, basically. You want to make sure you push all those seams all the way out and get the schmutz off. That's what you're trying to remove anyway here. You're trying to make the suede side, or it's not the grain side, this is the flesh side. Trying to make the flesh side smooth and consistent, right? This might need this side of my tool here because it's lumpy, the leg here. And the leg's not really part of this body pelt, but since it's attached, I thought I would leave it attached for this go round. Most people would take those off because they're a different thickness than the body. So maybe actually about time to do that. Let me think about it for a couple minutes first, though. Thank you for that like. Tap that like button. Give me my 50th like today. I like 50 likes too. I like 100 better, but I like 50 likes. You know, that's all right. We'll do 50 likes. I had this eye-opening breakthrough when just bones started scraping the flesh away on that raccoon pelt. And Heather, I disappeared, so Heather had to come out the garage to find me. And she's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I had a breakthrough." You know how that is, guys. When you have a breakthrough, you figure something out. You get a little new worm in your brain, and I don't mean from accidentally sticking yourself with a parasitic raccoon knife. I mean you got like a new wrinkle in your brain, and you figure something out, right? That feeling where you just got to keep going to like make sure it's cemented in there. That was that. That was it. That was what it was. So now I'm like convinced that like you're gonna have to find me a nice fleshing knife to actually beat this scraping tool that I've made out of the bone from this animal here. All the way to the seam here. I'm doing all the way to the seam, pushing it all the way off. Takes an incredible amount of tannins to do this process just to one hide. So I've been gathering stuff from the woods every day, and I'm making a long form video about it. I'm not expecting folks to watch it, not expecting it to be a huge hit, but I am making a long form to document the process and as a valuable resource to anyone in the future who wants to see what the experience was like before they maybe try it, or just to kind of document what I experienced, you know, doing this, which is a craft. A lot of respect to folks that have done this and their families have done this for hundreds of years, sometimes thousands of years, depending on what part of the world you're in. Bark tanning is not traditional to the First Nations people of the U.S. and North America in general. This is a type of tanning that you only find really in the ancient peoples of Europe. So there's a lot of different ancient peoples of Europe: the Celts, the Picts, the all those different groups. So we don't know exactly. We just know it goes to their tradition was the maybe they do know. Should I not speculate? Look it up. Maybe you'll find something I don't know. But yeah, bark tanning for some reason didn't pick up here in the amongst the First Nations people. They use brain tanning and smoking. I love the way this looks, man. This animal was, lost its life on November 5th, 4th or 5th. This is its gift to us, basically, was this awesome. Well, it's meat, first of all, too, because Heather and I eat its meat as well. But this pelt, I've tried to really give it TLC and make sure that I gave it the best chance of being tanned as good as possible. And it's not coming out too bad. Looks like I've got a couple spots in the grain there where I may have broken the grain. I don't like that. But you live and learn. I do see. I hope that's not from where I hit it with the knife yesterday. Looks like it may be. Little spots in the grain, I think, as I examine it. here. Maybe I shouldn't squeeze it out. Some things I need to look up. Color is really good though. Oh no, man, that's just stuff I know. I don't have an earpiece. All right, this one's gonna go back into its tanning bath. I think maybe the last day in there. Then I'm gonna dry this out and moisturize it. There are some spots. This is the grain side, right? Yeah, this is grain side. So this is where the hair used to be, right? So all the different, you can see how it gets those little the lumpy look on it. Guess that's a result of it being squeezed and all of that stuff over and over again. Thanks. Yeah, I don't take it too personally, man. It's all right. Um. So yeah, this is my first piece of leather, and I'm not that upset about it. I don't think I did too badly, but it has to be dried out and then moisturized to know for sure how it came out. And I might remove these little legs on here that don't really belong. But the chestnut color, I'm not hating it, you know. So I'm gonna wrap this up, put this thing aside, and then I'll work on these little ones that I told you all about. And I'll turn the beam so it's a little closer to the camera. I told Mike yesterday, boy, I'm a voracious reader. You know, I like to read a lot. I actually prefer reading to YouTube videos when I'm learning stuff too. So if I have a way to read about it, then that's what I prefer. But so we're gonna scrape these here. These are leg hocks. I promised one of these to Wes. I promised one of these to Mike. So we'll have to they'll have to be divvied out, I suppose. Kind of wanted to see. These are part of the deer that is usually neglected, and I think you guys can see this, right? This part of the deer is usually left to nature. Most people don't take it, or most of the hunters I know, I've been asked them, so they don't take this part. Even if they take the pelt, often they don't take these hocks. I think that's kind of a waste. I may not bark tan them anymore because you can see it had a white color to it, and it no longer has that anymore. The tannins kind of got in there, but I don't hate that either. That's another thing. I've seen guys say bad stuff about that. I don't have a problem with it dyeing the white part a little bit if it preserves it, you know. These make good strops. So once you get the flesh side, get the mumbling and stuttering, stammering. Once you get this flesh side smooth or relatively smooth, like suede-ish, right? Then you use these as strops. They also, if you shoot a bow and arrow, these are, is it the non-shooting wrist? Yeah, right here. So your non-shooting wrist, if you're right-handed, it'll be your left wrist, or if you're, it depends on which eye you are. This would protect your wrist from that bowstring slapping. That's what they are traditionally used for, I believe, amongst the Native Americans. I needed one of those when I used to shoot bows, because I would always, the bowstring would always slap my wrist, and it's not comfortable. Yeah. So yeah, you'll see that often. That these hawks will be used as wrist protectors for archers. That's one. We'll wrap it up. Go on to the next one. I also have, I believe I brought out the raccoon pelt too. This was a really badly conditioned raccoon pelt. So I wanted to see, can you tan something that's on the edge of, I mean, on the very edge of savable. So I put it through all the processes, and you can see there's, I'll show you all the spots that we have on here. It's not terribly bad though. So here's that raccoon pelt. This is a raccoon pelt from one no hair here, right? And smaller, so a female probably. You can see it's either grease burn or where the grain was broken here. There's a couple spots. This looks like some ferrous metals touched it here. But there is some parts of this that are not touched and are okay. So it maybe was worth tanning. I think for like insoles for shoes, this will probably be really good because especially near the neck, it's very soft. The suede side is also nice and smooth too. So Benjamin Winkle, welcome from Denmark. Benjamin Winkle. Uh-oh, don't want to do that, dudes. Make sure that it's flat on there. You end up messing up your leather. Thought it might have been something wrong there. Schmutzo, lots of schmutz on here. I scrape that schmutz off all the way to the edge, all the way past the edge. So the hair slipped on this, but not all of it. And what I put it in was a lye bath, sodium hydroxide. I didn't make it strong. I know how to make, I have a whole tub of lye here. Do not try that at home. Do not buy lye and try to make a lye bath. I made a very diluted sodium hydroxide lye bath and put it in there to try to loosen the rest of the hair. And actually, it didn't. So the hair that's in there, I think may be in there, and that's it. And that's just how it is. I could probably put it through a more caustic bath, like a more abrasive lye bath, and get it off. But then I don't know. It may thin the skin. You may end up with holes, more holes in the skin. The skin's already had some problems with that. I got to get that squirrel out so y'all can see this little bitty squirrel. This one was one I certainly didn't kill, but it may have lived a natural life had it not been for our dogs. So. All right, that's all the scraping I'm doing on that hide today. I don't want to put too much labor into this piece anyway because it's not high quality. So I'm just kind of putting that one aside. Doobie doobie doo. We'll roll it up, which I think some of you all might be familiar with. Love that episode of Family Feud where Steve Harvey goes to the middle and he says, top 10 things we asked Americans a question, top 10 answers over the board. Name something you roll up. Let me tell you, the first answer was not a sleeping bag. Chaotic Calvin. Benjamin made me a couple different theme songs yesterday with the help of modern technology. Thought they were very thoughtful. All right, this is a squirrel right here. This has actually been in tannins. But what I want to do here with this, the reason I took this out of the tannins was actually splay these legs where I pulled this hide off the entire body, like pull it off with the legs on. So I'm going to cut where the legs are here so I can tan evenly there. Boom, that. And then the same thing on the other leg. All right. There, now that's splayed open, so I don't have to worry about that. See how that didn't tan right there? Boom. Or I just cut it with the knife on accident. Probably that. And then this is the tail here. And the tail does feel like there may be bone in that tail too. Let's pull through that too. Nope, there's no more bone in there, and it actually was tanning a bit. So, all right, that's that. Poor squirrel. Poor squirrel, you'll make someone's life better. You'll be a patch on their quilt. Something like that. That's we're going right down to that dermis. This is going to be similar to the rabbit that mainly off grid was talking about earlier. Like the way this behaves, going to be similar. I didn't do a lot of scraping on this hide until I put it through the tanning bath. So the tannin bath. So right now, some of the schmutz is going to have to come off here, and it's going to have to tan those spots, right? This is just part of the process, guys. Just part of the process. Got to do all this scraping and squishing and all that. You know, that might have to come off. Oh, let's be moved a little bit there. I feel like that just stretched the skin out some, so that should actually help. It's not bad. I actually did stretch the skin out quite a bit there. So those fibers did break a bit, or they are moving outward. That's what I want. And that means they'll absorb more tannins. I put this in a vinegar bath. You want to do that until you see how the fingerprints staying in there. That actually can stand there permanently, so I only do that to test. And then looks like it may be losing a little bit of hair. So maybe some hair slippage in there. Still haven't figured that one out. All the way to the edge and make sure the schmutz comes off, right? It wants to stick to the edge usually. That's what I've experienced. All right, we roll that back up. It goes back into the tanning solution. Whole piece of fur coming off right there. That's unfortunate. I thought I got to this one quick enough. Um, I guess I didn't. I'm going to start removing hair from all hides. The hair seems to be a big pain in the butt to keep on there. These hawks were in bad shape when I got them. The hair didn't slip on those. So I'm trying to figure out, there's no consistency in what I've experienced with hair slippage. Seems to be no consistency at all, actually, with it. So don't know what's going on with that. I'm going to figure it out, though. It may be that those have to be brain tanned and alum and all that stuff. Let's take a look at these raccoon hides real quick. This big one right here first. Mike was talking about keeping the fat and making a tallow soap out of it. You can definitely do that with these. The fat is thick and buttery. Like you could also deep fry things if you're actually eating the raccoon. You could deep fry it in its own fat, probably, most likely. I know that that's a technique some people use, especially when the animal is really fatty like this. It gives you a use for the fat. Yeah, there's still quite a bit of subdermal fat on this guy, like on these legs especially. I've been keeping the legs with the hides. Probably shouldn't. Yeah, that's going to have to be, I'm going to have to approach that in a different way. See, that's like a very thick fat, and I knew they were fat. This particular male, though, is really, he ate a lot. He ate very well, I guess. So tallow plus sodium hydroxide, which you can actually make through um, burning, right? You can burn uh, lime, right? And you can use wood ash to make sodium hydroxide, mix that with fat, in this case tallow, or rendered fat from the animal, and that can make soap. Now, I always make soap the vegetarian way here, so if you get my soap, it is not made with animals. I've not done that ever. I might remove that leg off here today. It's just really... You guys probably can't see that. Sorry about that, guys. I moved it back a little bit. Hey, Wes. Wes said, "Good morning, Calvinites." I like to say that. That's what I like to say. I like to call him that. I got to use my knife for this. It's just too much, man. I'm willing to lose the leg at this point. This thing had built up a lot of insulation for the winter. A lot of insulation. My goodness. I mean, it's like it ate a lot or something, you know? It's like maybe boys eat a lot or something. This is a male for sure. Scrape it every day. I want to sing Christmas carols, but I don't want to. I don't want people to like judge me for my old timey carols. I tried to twirl my mustache today, but I think it got undone. Maybe I'll twirl my mustache and sing traditionally carols tomorrow, or maybe I'll just keep saying that and not ever do it. When I say old timey, I mean old timey stuff. Wes doesn't say your soap is nice. Thank you. Yeah, we don't use tallow in that. That's all coconut and vegetable, not vegetable, coconut and olive oil. And then I have sodium hydroxide, obviously. So there's no animal products were used in the making of that soap. And a little bit of this every day is what I think. I might brain tan this, dude. I think I am going to brain tan this, and I'll just build a little ring for it so it can be smoked. It's a beautiful animal, man. It's going to make a really great garment, whatever it is. I can feel it. It's just so clean and heavy. It's going to make a warm garment. Like I said yesterday, very similar in consistency to brain tissue. Very similar. If you have never have no experience with brain tissue, then that's fine. Probably better for you and your stomach. But if you do, then I'm telling you, the subdermal fat of the raccoon apparently is like the same. Like if I was to boil it down, I wonder if I could use it for moisturizing hides. Because that's what, like, would it emulsify in the water? Is the question. Open-ended question. I don't know the answer to that. Would raccoon subdermal fat emulsify in water and allow you to use it as a moisturizer for tanning itself? Right? But I think I'm going to hang this one up here. It's still saying supple too. I like that, but it is drying out. I can feel that it's drying out. And the other one I won't pull off, but I will. We have a lot in here. I got this hide right now. This is a female. This is a doe, big doe right here. Very heavy animal. Largest doe I maybe have ever seen in my life. It was a huge animal, man. I thought I was like, am I harvesting an elk here? I mean, I didn't kill it, but where it was, right by my house, guys. So it's probably going to shrink some, but that's still a huge, like that's a big cloak right there. And I have also, since I got y'all in here, I've also been brining my viewer discretion. Viewer discretion. This is the head of that last deer that you guys saw. So this is the one, and I have said this multiple times, but if you're new here, you get this. This eye was the only mistake I made skinning this deer's head. Was the eye tear duct I didn't get correct, but it was very educational to see the inside workings of the deer. I already knew a little bit about the nose because I have a skeleton up there, or I have a skull that I've had for a long time. But these papillae in the mouth and stuff, super interesting. So I'm trying to preserve this too with the ears, almost as a way to look at the animal, to study the animal. But it will be usable as leather, just I'm not going to try to pawn it off on somebody. I think I might keep it. Yeah. Everybody, thank you all so much for being here with me on Dad's Workshop today, where we do all kinds of different stuff. If you are interested in woodwork and you want to learn how to make a bunk bed and stuff and do traditional joinery and make your own, check out some of my videos. I got about 300 videos of that stuff. So thank you so much for being here. And my name is Calvin, and it is freezing. It's freaking freezing. So I'm going to cut it off there. And definitely check out my other videos. Check out these other folks, all my friends in the chat. Wes does it, and the other folks, the members. Thank you for being members. Thank you for staying members, and appreciate everybody. Everybody have a great day, and do the next right thing. And I'm Calvin. It's Dad's Workshop. We're out of here.